What we're going to try and do this evening is have a very general discussion around the 3 pillars or the 4 pillars of money, marketing, management and motivation under the startup phase of business. Okay, so very briefly I'm going to just talk about motivation, because I know that there's some people here tonight who are thinking about making the leap, and you're probably looking for that little bit of encouragement to go out on your own. So I'm going to put out to the panel, what made you guys decide to go out on your own? Ian, perhaps you could go first.
Well, my background is electronics, and I used to work with a lot of manufacturing companies, and I suppose late 2007, a lot of companies that I was going to see, they were creating these facilities managers with energy roles, and everyone I spoke to was saying that they were told that they had to reduce the cost of, first of all, production, and up high was energy. And I thought it'd be a good idea to go out as an energy consultant, but with certain products that fill those needs. And lighting, obviously being the first one, was where I saw a very good return on investment, and I worked on a lot of lighting products.
Okay, so you were going after a niche that you perceived, but was there any kind of fear in the belly thinking about going out on your own, or did you say, I'm just going to jump and I'm going to go for it?
No, there was fear, yeah, but I suppose the first thing I did was surround myself with positive people. You know, I joined the BNI. I went to a networking where everybody was working for themselves and each other, and the first thing I did was learn from them. You know, you learn an awful lot from these people when you're networking. And the first thing I learned was to just be positive about everything and have a plan. Okay. You know, have a really good plan. Okay,
we'll come back to the whole planning in a second, and I'll come to you on that one, Jill. But before that, Trevor, we were discussing earlier on, and you said from the first year you left college, you just had a sense that you had to get out and do it yourself.
Yeah.
What motivated you just never to work in corporate Ireland?
Yeah.
But you eventually did, I know that. But yeah. So how did you know that you were always going to do, follow your own path?
I was always into, building stuff myself, trying stuff out. I come from a farming background, so, sales was always something that you had access to, because you were always buying and selling, dealing and wheeling, so that whole thing was in you.
It's in a Carrigaline anyway.
Yeah. And I suppose when I was in college, fortunate enough, when I left college, I joined a company called Mac, and it was a very innovative environment. We were constantly developing new products, and I found myself designing and writing a lot of the software that these products were based around. Okay. And some of them were brilliant ideas, but I soon copped on that, I was doing the software, writing it, and it was being taken away, and someone else was making money out of it. So I felt that, I could do it myself. I didn't see why. At that time, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I wanted to run my own business sometime. I was fortunate enough, to work in the corporate environment and get some excellent training. So I will say that, there's a lot of good training, but the bureaucracy killed me,
Yeah. What about yourself, John?
I suppose pretty similar, really. I've worked in travel all my life, but always for somebody else.
Yeah.
And might have tried to, if things had gone differently, maybe would have, begun to own a part of the company or whatever. But I was just itching, because I always felt I was the ideas person. I had the ideas; they always worked if we ever implemented them. And it kind of came to the stage where you just thought, maybe I should just get more benefit from it, and just thought, okay, take the plunge, and just did it. And definitely it was an incredibly difficult decision, there's no doubt about that. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but once the decision was made, we kind of haven't looked back really since then.
Okay. Jill, obviously you're running your own business and you started your own business, but you're also spending a lot of time helping guys, start out in the journey. So, what drove you and what drives you to try and help people when they're starting out?
I suppose from my own point of view, I grew up in a household where my father always had his own business and a couple of different businesses. If he failed at one thing, he'd try another until he eventually made money and retired eventually. And it was amazing coming out of that environment. There was 4 kids and 2 of them started their own businesses, me included, and 2 of them are public servants and said they never want to see their own business ever. So, and I suppose, that drive was always within me. I was working in a very corporate environment, like a lot of the other panel have said. And you know, in my situation, you know, you're waiting for the partner up the line to retire before maybe you can go up the next step. And I just decided, you know, I can do this, I can go out and I can do it for myself.
Yeah. When you're, you know, in your introduction, you were talking about you don't want people coming to you around now, you know, because we all have butterflies in the belly facing into you know, the tax bills.
Yeah.
You want to meet them throughout the year and get to know their business.
Yeah.
When you're meeting people and you discuss that, are they taking up on the offer? And do you see any characteristic in the people that are currently coming to you about, you know, I'm thinking of starting my own business? Is there a particular type of person?
I think that this year what I found is that there's really motivated people coming. You know, they really know that if they're going to start this business, you know, it has to work for them. They want to be really, you know, they're really giving it everything, because unfortunately, I suppose, in years gone by, there was always the safe net, sure, I can go back and get a job. Whereas now, if you leave a job to start a business, like, you know, you were brave to give up your job and start out on your own, because at the moment there probably is no safety net, you know. And so what I find that there's a better class of person, more motivated person who's starting their business at the moment, do you know?
Yeah, okay. You know, very briefly, is there one challenge that, you know, that you faced in the early months of starting up the venture? Was it getting money? Was it a challenge of making sales? Was it a challenge of, you know, organising yourself? Anything that kind of strikes you that people should be aware of, Ian?
I think all of those.
All of those,
all of those, yeah. There's not one area. There's, you know, when you work for someone, I suppose if you worked in sales, your main fear every week was making sales. When you go work for yourself, your main fear every week is not only getting sales, but paying bills, paying suppliers, you know, having your accounts, your VAT, your PAYE. It's a whole new area. So I wouldn't say one specific area. All of a sudden, the first month of business, and you realise that there's more to this than just going out and making money or making sales. It's a whole lot more to that.
Running a business, being organised, being prepared, being disciplined about it.
Sure. Well, discipline is one of the main things.
Yeah. Well, what about you, John? I suppose, you know, you, as you said, you've been in the travel industry all your life. You certainly must have known about it. You obviously, you know, did the market research. But when you made the leap, was there anything that you didn't anticipate?
I suppose when I was doing the preparation, or just the whole business plan at the very start, the biggest thing for me was doing the preparation as much as I possibly could, so that I really put as much work into the preparation of it, so that I could maybe foresee as many problems as possible. What I didn't see is where a lot of the business was coming from. Like, we are predominantly online, so we target the whole island of Ireland, both north and south. And even though we're based in Kinsale, one of our biggest markets is Donegal. And that was a surprise, you know.
A big cultural challenge.
Yeah, one that we didn't really, you know, expect. But it just goes to prove that even though we are down in Kinsale, you know, the whole island of Ireland is our market. Not just, you know, initially we thought we'd get much more locally, but it actually has ended up being far greater nationally rather than much closer to home.
Okay.